At Let's Tell Their Story, we'd like to advise that some content may contain rape, domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, child abduction, and murder. Not all content is suitable for all audiences. Please be advised while listening. Thank you.
We just started.
Okay. What exactly do you remember from last week with Mitrice?
That we were going over when she dined and ditched.
Okay, pretty much, yeah. I did want to preface something that the last episode that I did solo, that I had done this episode, but the quality was so horrendous that Mitrice she just deserved better. So, just gonna do a quick recap and then I'll get right into it. So, like you said, she was saying crazy things and she was basically dined and ditched. And she ended up getting arrested for marijuana. Her mom, Letice, was called and said she'd come pick her up, but she didn't want to wake up her 10-year-old child. So Letice said that she would come in the morning. Okay. Now we'll get into part two. So Letice, Mitrice's mom, she wakes up early and she calls the Lost Hills Sheriff's Department to find out what it's going to take to bail Mitrice out. And the order that she had to go to, like who she had to talk to when she got there and whatnot. And she finds out that Mitrice was released at 1 a.m. or about, actually, it was like 20 to 1. When she was released, her car had been impounded. So Mitrice was left without her vehicle, without any identification, without any money or anything like that. And she's in an area that she's not familiar with because she's in the Malibu Lost Hills area and she's originally from the Covina, LA area. So once Letice finds this out, she starts calling around and asking like friends and families of Mitrice's if anybody's seen her, and nobody has seen her. So Letice, she calls back the Malibu Lost Hills Sheriff's Department and she goes to file a missing person report. Well, she's told. What do you think she was told?
Wait 24 hours when that's actually not. So, if you feel like somebody's
Exactly.
missing, do it immediately.
Yeah, you can immediately, yeah. Oh, and she's just not having this, so she eventually is able to file a missing persons report. Well, apparently, there had been sightings of Mitrice on the morning of the 17th or 18th of September. And one of them, oh, it's the 17th, a former KTLA news reporter named Bill Smith. He lived about 6 miles west of the Lost Hills police station, and he called and reported, and these are his words, not mine, a slim black woman with afro hair was in his backyard. And he had asked her if she was okay through a window, and she had responded that she was just resting. By the time Bill had gotten dressed, I'm assuming this was at, according to Bill, it was 6:30 in the morning. It's important. And by the time he had gotten dressed and went out to see, she had disappeared. Now, earlier that morning, Bill Smith's neighbors claimed that they heard a man and woman arguing in front of Bill Smith's property. Now, I don't know, have you ever heard of the Lost Hills podcast?
No.
Okay, so her name is Dana Goodyear, and she's gotten really in depth with Mitrice's case. Like, her whole podcast is about finding answers to Mitrice's, because there really isn't any answers right now.
All right.
And her, what was that?
I said all right.
Okay. So one of the prime suspects is a guy named Rick Forsberg, who he's passed away now, but and I don't have I don't know the reasons behind why he's passed away, like what made him pass. But Rick Forsberg, he was well known to the sheriff's department for being in and out of jail, and he had just gotten out of jail in July of 2009 for allegedly battering his girlfriend. And where Mitrice's remains will be found, Rick Forsberg was known to have different sources say a compound, someplace sources say a treehouse, but basically had a cave in the canyons where in the Monte Nido area, which is part of the Malibu uh, canyons. There's a lot of different towns or names for these canyons. And he was known in his earlier years to grow marijuana here. Very, very important, the marijuana. And there is a video out there that he claims to have seen, and he was the one arguing with Mitrice that morning in front of Bill Smith's. And so it means that Rick would be technically the last one to have seen Mitrice alive. Well, Rick he wasn't really taken into custody for it. Had a friend that basically said, "Hey, dude, the cops are looking for you. Go straighten this out. You've said that you were the last one to see her. We don't know. Did you kill her or whatnot?" So he goes in, he takes a polygraph test, passes the first one with flying colors. A little while later, he's given another one, passes again. Now, I want to preference that I don't have a name, but according to CC Woods, she's a YouTuber. I don't know if she's got a channel name or if it's just underneath CC Woods, but she's out of LA, and she was recording with somebody that's involved with the police station, who has given Dana Goodyear a lot of the information she's had, so Dana could go and do her research. Oh, there's also a former ranger that apparently he had gotten fired from his ranger duties for sexually inappropriate behavior. And there was a woman that states that this ranger had locked her in a bedroom and wouldn't let her go. And while she was locked in that bedroom, she went through a bunch of drawers and found baggies full of women's underwear in different sizes. And then when she would try to get away, this ranger would make statements like, she's lucky she didn't end up like Mitrice Richardson. So we have Rick Forsberg, who claims that he was the last one to see her alive. And then you've got this former ranger that allegedly locked this woman up. And so the whole thing with the women's underwear is Dana Goodyear, and I don't know if it's her co-host or if just a friend of hers. They went to the canyon compound that Rick Forsberg had, and they found another bag of women's underwear in multiple sizes. Well, they took that into the sheriff's department and they wanted it tested, but it had been so many years because this allegedly happened only a couple. I don't know if I think in the last 2 years they took this bag to the sheriff's department to have it tested. Well, it's been sitting for so long that the DNA is just not there to test it. And so with Letice uh, filing that missing persons report, nothing was done until January 9th of 2010 for searches. And then there was an air and ground search for the Malibu Creek State Park where there was about 200 volunteers. They had police helicopters, horses, search dogs, and the agencies involved in the search were the Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And they didn't find anything. Then, about 6 months later, in March, there was volunteers that gathered in 6 different locations, and these searchers were family members, friends, and community members, and they came across the Los Angeles area for Mitrice, and the locations included searches of Skid Row, Malibu, Calabasas, Agora, Santa Monica, and Hollywood. And again, nothing was found during those searches. Uh, so when Mitrice was last seen leaving the sheriff's station, I watched the video that's online for her and what it shows. And when she was let let go that night, they said she was in perfect state of mind and she didn't wasn't presenting any symptoms of being intoxicated. Her mental health was fine. That video, she was not fine. She's pacing back and forth. It kind of looks like she's scratching at the windows and her parents, Mitrice and Michael, like even though Michael wasn't in her life for the 8 years that he was in jail, he was a pretty uh involved father in her life. Like so involved that when she was uh dancing, her business cards, her dancing name was Hazel and it had her name and then it had also her dad's name on the business cards. Uh but they criticized the authorities for their search efforts with Mitrice. And anybody that's listened to any podcast knows that the LAPD not always on top of things. And I'm going to leave it at that. Uh, so they stood on the front steps of the Los Angeles County Hall of Administrations, and they basically were saying, "Hey, you guys are moving. This is too slow moving. We're not. Why aren't we searching for her a little bit?" So representatives they requested that the DOG review handling of Patrice's case, and I am going to actually read this verbatim from the uncovered.com. Or no, this is actually from Wikipedia. U.S. Representative Maxine Waters sends a request to the Department of Justice for the review of the handling of Mitrice's case. Thus far, by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Waters explains in the request that she believes that Mitrice's civil rights were violated when she was released from the police station in the middle of the night without her cell phone, car, or purse on the night of her disappearance. Later interviews with the FBI spokesperson reveals that the Bureau had considered this request. However, there is not enough information to lead to the FBI or the DOJ's involvement in this at this time. Authorities haven't been returning phone calls. This is according to Latisse, haven't been returning phone calls. We've been trying to get drones out to search Malibu Canyon. Then another search in June 5th and 6th of 2010 in the Montanito area of Malibu Canyon. There was another 100 private citizens that volunteered to search and still nothing. But this time they did come across graffiti of what appeared to be Black women in provocative situations. There was one of a woman on her hands and knees with what seems to be looked like a tattoo of LA on her butt and a joint out of her mouth, which some believe that whoever did this was trying to say that, hey, this is Mitrice. There was also one of a woman with an afro hair in a wheelchair. There was, there was something about a hula hoop. I've seen these graffiti, what, help me out. I know the word I'm looking for.
Images?
No, well, yeah, images. Yeah, the graffiti image. Graphic?
Graphico.
It'd be graphic? Graphical, but it's graffiti.
Graffiti is when
Anyway.
when you decide to put artwork on a like a place that doesn't belong to you without permission.
Well, yeah, I know what graffiti is. But so then in June of 2010, Latisse, she ends up suing the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and for negligence and wrongful death because they shouldn't have let her out. But they said they didn't do anything wrong. And yeah, it was in the culvert of the canyon where they'd found that graffiti. And it was like, they also had found like fresh paint cans and brushes, but that stuff was never taken into evidence and were left at the scene because we'll find out it was not considered a crime scene. Now in August, Latisse sues, she gets a settlement, and then in July, that's distracting. In July, but thank you, I needed that. Yeah, in July, Michael also sues the LA department, and they were both settled outside of court or whatnot. And on August 9th, 2010, a park ranger is out patrolling the Malibu Canyons area, and he's looking for illegal marijuana growth. Who do you think he's looking for that illegal marijuana growth? Who's been known? Rick Forsberg. You look tired. And where he's at is about 8 miles from the Lost Hill Station. So while he's out looking for this, he comes across a human bone, and I can't remember if it's like an arm bone, a leg bone, or a rib bone, but he also comes across a human skeleton. So he calls the sheriff's department, and when the sheriff's department gets there, they find what seems to be Mitrice's clothing, what she had on the night she disappeared. And so they call the coroner to see if they can exhume what they have found, this skeletal head and bones. Coroner says, yeah, no problem, bring them in. Well, when they grab the skeleton head, the rest of the skeleton comes with. So you've got like the vertebrae and the whole rest of it because it's been mummified. And that they didn't have permission to remove. And so where not only do you have the Rick Forsberg thing, but where she was found, just adjacent to it, there is a 21-acre ranch that is known for producing pornography. And there was reports that they had heard screaming in the area several nights after Mitrice disappeared. And there is a whole big thing about the controversy with the coroner allowing them to remove what he did tell them, or I don't know if it was a he or she. For some reason, I'm thinking it was a she. But the coroner said that they could remove the head and that one bone, not the full body. And when they removed everything, it kind of stirred up the scene, so they had no evidence to work with. And so since they were able to find everything, it's alleged that there is possibility that Mitrice may have been strangled, but her oh, what bone is that? I know what bone it is. I'm having a brain fart.
Your collarbone?
No, there's a bone in your neck when you're strangled. That if you're strangled, the hyoid bone. Hyoid bone is what it is. When a person is strangled, it'll break. But that bone was never found. Now, even though I am right, it's a hyoid bone.
Yeah, it's a very small bone.
Yeah, it's a very small bone, but that bone was never found. And even though residents in the area had said after Mitrice's disappearance that they had heard screaming, when they finally concluded that it was Mitrice, the sheriff's department deemed it not to be a homicide, and they believed there was no foul play. Now, I'm not trying to get into politics here, but I have to read this because it's kind of important. So, the Richardson's family, or Mitrice's family, when they had asked the DOJ stuff, they had also asked the California Attorney General's office to review the sheriff's handling of the case. And in November 2015, they had reviewed 500 pages of documents that were sent to the office of the California Attorney General. And California Attorney General at the time was Kamala Harris. And it was replied that it had not found any grounds for criminal charges against the sheriff's department or his deputies. And then in January of 2016, the Attorney General's office reversed itself and announced it was beginning a criminal investigation into the case. So it kept getting oh, we're not going to do anything, we're going to do something. We're not going to do anything, we're going to do something. And if I'm not mistaken, if this was probably about the same time that she was starting to go into her vice presidency and whatnot. And I'm leaving it at that. So there's a lot of speculation that Rick Forsberg is responsible. There's things stating that that former ranger that got fired is responsible. Then there's also with her bipolar, did she just basically lose it and whatnot? And to this day, it is unclear what happened to Mitrice Richardson. Was she the victim of the dangers of the Malibu Canyons, a victim of a monster, or was she the victim of her own mental disorder? Nobody knows, and maybe one day we'll get answers. And that is what I have for the case of Mitrice Richardson. Any questions?
Nah. So,
You think I did pretty good on that one?
yes. I was going to say, for what I'm going over, is two different things. One thing that happened in 1994, and just questioning about why our place is haunted.
Okay.
Like, especially factories. It's we both we both work in factories, so we both have had.
Oh, I see shadow people all the time, and my forklift driver had passed away in November. I tell him to knock stuff off all the time.
See, and then for me, I'm a cleaning technician, and one of the days when I was cleaning the restroom, it's kind of funny that I told the security like the next day, and they're like, "Okay," like they were even scared. Because what happened was,
I don't know about this.
Yeah, so this happened like a few days ago. So I opened up, like I was doing the bathroom route, so, and there is approximately 7 bathrooms in this whole plant.
Okay.
And the one bathroom I was doing was the one next to security, so one of the oldest ones.
Okay.
And I ended up doing the males first. I knocked on the door, heard I'm like cleaning, coming in, heard a flush, thinking okay, sorry. I said sorry, you didn't say anything. Somebody said all right, it's all right. I waited for about a minute or two. Nobody came out. No water ran except for the toilet flushing. The thing is that those toilets aren't censored ones.
Oh, they're ones you actually have to
Yes.
push down?
Yes. So it was like, wait, what?
Oh.
And then my other thing this one is more kind of confusing. What do you it's a murder, but it's a suicide?
Okay. There's a ghostly thing involved with it, I take it?
No, it's pretty much it's so what so what happened is this person, his name was Ronald Opus.
Okay, I've never heard of Ronald Opus. You actually found something I've never heard of.
Yep. So Ronald Opus ended up having he was having issues with his parents and everything like that. He ended up trying to get because his mother took him out of their financials, so he wanted to kill his mother.
Was he an adult or?
Yes.
Okay.
So what he did was he decided. So this is important. His father his mother and his father. When his father got really, really mad, he would grab a shotgun that was never loaded normally. and pointed at her.
Wow.
So what happened was, him knowing about that, he ended up putting, so this is what's really funny about the person that jumped. So a person jumped from the 10th story, and he wouldn't have made it to the ground because on the 8th floor there was window cleaners, so they had a net for the window cleaners. Yes. But once he went past the ninth floor, he died. Are you okay there?
I'm confused.
So,
If
so
you jump past the... So he never made it to the ground.
no. Trust me, this
Okay, and this is the kid that the what was his name again?
R-
His first name.
Ronald
Robert?
Opus.
Ronald. Okay. So he's mad at his parents, who must have money,
Yes.
and they say, basically they said, you got to get your butt out there and get a real job, because we're not gonna baby you.
Yes.
And he doesn't like being told no. So he's going to jump from a 10-foot building that cleaners are on the 8th floor. He dies before he gets to... Did he have a heart attack or something?
So you know that shotgun I was talking to you about? He lived on the 10th floor.
Yeah.
His parents lived on the 9th floor. You think you're confused? Think for the medical term. Think for the medical examiner for this.
Oh, I gotta hear, because I am
So
because the way I was understanding that he still lived with his parents.
no. So that's very. So what happened was, the elder man pointed his shotgun at his wife. Apparently, he sucks by shooting, by the way. Like, he totally missed. Like, didn't know it was loaded. Ended up actually pulling the trigger. It went out the 9th floor window as soon as the person was jumping.
Okay, so was it the son that jumped? Or was it just some random person from the 10th floor?
It was actually his son. This is it is so confusing that, because so Ronald actually loaded the shotgun 6 weeks before. So what happened was he ended up killing him. Are you okay there?
Yeah. Okay, so the son loaded the shotgun 6 weeks prior.
Yes.
Knowing that his dad had a history of picking it up.
Yes, he wanted his father to kill his mother.
Yeah, I know. That's why I figured that out. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, so like the best part is, this is such a bizarre way. It's like, wait, what? Because if the shotgun never went off, he wouldn't.
I'm invested.
He would have never died.
Yeah, because he would have been caught in the net.
Yes. The shotgun, though, this is what I'm like really surprised about. His father must be a really bad shot, because it was a buckshot.
And let me guess, it never hit the wife.
Nope, never hit her.
You know what buckshot does, right?
Yeah. That's why I said he's must be really bad. Yeah, so his mother's.
I want to interrupt you for just a second. So people that don't know what buckshot does, was is, and it's been known, buckshot is known, it depends on which part of the country you're at. It's known by different names, but it's basically, it comes out of the shotgun, and once it hits uh, a
Pellets.
target, then it, yeah, yeah, it turns into pellets and it just goes all over the place. Okay, go ahead.
So what happened was that so the shotgun. So it is even stranger because nobody realized that the person that jumped and the person that shot the shotgun were even related for the longest time. So, but
I can kind of see why that would be.
yeah, so neither did the his father or him knew that there was a safety net on the 8th floor at all because they were cleaning the windows there.
Okay.
So he definitely, if he jumped and there was no shotgun shell, it would not have worked.
Oh yeah, because he would have bounced out of the net like a trampoline person at the circus.
Yes. But so what happened was, the elder man and his wife, he was threatening her with a shotgun because of an inner spouse spat. Okay, so what happened was how old he was, he couldn't hold the shotgun fully up as normal. So when he, so he couldn't hold the shotgun up straight. So when he shot, not knowing it was loaded, by the way, completely missed his wife, and the pellets went through the window.
Okay.
So what happened was they were trying to figure out if he actually meant, like, they thought it was going to be like a involuntary manslaughter.
Okay.
But then he got really confused because it was like he pointed the gun at his wife and it was meant to be shot at her, but not the window. That's where this gets really confusing. Yeah, so neither of them actually knew the shotgun was loaded.
Well, didn't Ronald? Okay, the husband and wife didn't know it was loaded.
No.
Ronald did.
Yes, because he is the one that loaded it 6 weeks before. Because 6 weeks.
But he looked through that window as he was dropping and went, "Oh shit."
But no, no. So what happened was, so this is where it gets really funny. So, they were going to give the person, because nobody realized that, because after more research into the older lady, that she cut off her son's financial support.
Right.
But 6 weeks before, when he, or like, I think it may have been a little bit early. So about 6 weeks earlier, he actually loaded the shotgun, knowing how his father's thing was.
Right, because he thought for sure that. So he was pissed off his mom.
Yes.
And knowing how Dad's got a history of doing this. How short Dad's temper is. Okay, I'm gonna have Dad kill Mom, because then if Mom's not in the picture, I can get my finances back.
Yes. But since it's been taken over 6 weeks for it to happen, he decides to jump. This leads him to, on March 23rd, to jump from the 10th story, and then get killed from a shotgun blast on the 9th window.
But I don't think his plan was to get shot.
No. He was
planning on hitting the cement.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the funny part is what happened was this has been so like incredibly strange of like they don't know if this is actually a fictional murder suicide case or a misreported true story. It is so weird.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Oh, and then it also happened in Riverdale.
Okay, Riverdale.
Um, that's the one thing I never actually got.
What state it was in, or what country, or anything like that?
Um,
So what you're telling me is this is a story that might have some basis of truth behind it, or it could just be a made up tale.
yes, but with how
Oh
we're
my gosh, I didn't see that coming.
yeah, yeah, this is such a weird thing. Like people don't know if it's a bizarre suicide, or just an urban legend.
Didn't see that coming. Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? You know how you're always complaining about how much I say so when you're editing? When you edit this, you're going to go, "Oh my God, how many times did I say this is the funny thing?" Just so you know.
All right. So here's probably the most bizarre part. The medical examiner closed the case as a suicide.
Okay.
No more questions about that?
Nope. I want to know why buildings are haunted.
Oh,
I want to know if factories are haunted. That I'm really, really, really. But
I
yeah, that one took me for a loop.
it just
I did not know this.
there's like barely any research on why factories are always haunted. Like there is so many places that was just terrifying. Apparently, Peter Jordan is the most haunted place in the world. It has been haunted since 7000 BCE.
Ooh, so you're gonna do that at some point.
Yeah. So
You're like, yeah, I guess so.
yeah, so it's like weird. Like almost every single factory, like it doesn't matter. Like you just look up haunted factories, and it's like you get so many of
A
them.
bunch of them pop up.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
and then it's like the question is, like, okay, so why does it seem like so many factories are like haunted? Like the older ones kind of make sense, like if they've been around since like the 1800s, because then you have like the difference.
You have the possibility of them being built on tribal burial grounds.
Yeah, but
And
even
like
like
my work, that's what like where I work, there's a myth that it's been built on a tribal, but then where I live, it's there's a lot of uh Native American indigenous names to the
oh yeah, that's
towns
true.
around here. So, I mean, the possibility, and then like it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Well, it's not out in the middle of nowhere, but it's in a random spot off the highway. So it's a possibility.
Yeah. See, it's just like weird because it's like, why does it seem like most people that work in factories will always say that their factory is haunted?
Well, well, like 10 or what was it, 12, 10 or 12 years ago, and I was that guard at that one foundry.
Yep.
You remember? Okay. I never had any haunting feeling there. And there I should have been because there's been people killed on the grounds there.
Yeah, that is true.
But now, where I'm working at now, which basically makes the parts for that foundry, I see shadow people and I hear voices, and I have actually had like things touch me, and it's freaky. And now that I've gone to a different shift, it's even freakier at night because, like, during the day, there's so much movement and activity that you don't get the weird activity. And now it's like, okay, it's dark. There's not as many people on second shift. And like all of a sudden I'll be like, what was that? I'll turn my head and there's nobody there, but I swear I've seen a shadow. And I'm not the only one that believes this. So, I mean, I got half the crew that believes me, and I got half the crew that's like, you're nuts. So I go to the half that believe me, and I'm like, I'm not nuts, am I? I'm like, no, I've seen them.
Even Phil has seen them.
Oh, took me a second. Oh, speaking of, how much snow did you get?
Not too much actually. I will say that
We got almost a foot.
See, as a cleaning technician, the weird part is, I was I was cleaning another area factory at one point, or not factory, it was a data center, and I asked some of the people there, I'm like, you do realize dust is normally like human dead skin, like 80% of it is, so why are like haunted places so dusty?
Never thought of that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, like where I work, it makes sense, but mine's not a fancy factory like yours where it should be clean. Mine is a dirty factory. I love how you say service technician. You're a freaking janitor.
Yeah. You do realize how often I have to do stuff that does not require just cleaning. All right. I think this should be all for today.
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button.
Like button.
If you're like button, subscribe, leave a comment. If you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, rate, review, leave a comment. Really helps out. And I will leave the joining the Patreon to Quentin because he's got all that information. So go ahead.
The stuff will be down in the description for you. I fixed out the labels on how everything is. The top tier is limited space, so if you want the top tier, it's limited space.
There you go. So until next week, stay safe
And stay curious.
but stay